All right, so it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Central European time, which means that it's finally time to get started on our webinar on lead generation for tech industry companies. My name is Rickard Tierfalk and I work as head of sales here at Bright Vision. And I also have my colleague, I hope I have him with us, my colleague Jacob Löwenbrand. Are you there, Jacob?
Hello, yes, and good to meet you.
Wonderful. Great that we have you here, Jacob. And before I hand over to Jacob, I just want to tell you all that we're going to run this webinar for about 30 minutes. And after that, we're going to have a Q&A session. So you can already now, actually, you can fill in your questions if you have any. There's a question area somewhere on your screen in this GoToWebinar platform. And also good to know that tomorrow we're going to send out the recorded version. So you can look at it again. You can share it with your colleagues and your family if you want to. So with that brief outline, I'll hand over to you, Jacob.
Yeah, thanks, Rickard. And hello, everyone. So my name is Jacob Löwenbrand, Managing Director of Bright Vision, as Richard said, and we're really looking forward to share this webinar content with you today. So very, very short about Bright Vision and our background is that we're an agency. I started over 20 years ago, so been around since late 99 or something like that. And we are specialized in B2B marketing for tech companies. And we have been working with that only for the totally focused on that for the last 20 years. So we have picked up a little bit of what we think have been working and not, and so on. And these are a few clients we work with on a continuous basis. And we're today going to talk about some of the things that we think might be interesting for companies that are more in the industrial part of the B2B spectrum as well. So with that, Richard, maybe you will just give a little bit of background to what we do as an agency as well.
Yeah, I'll do that while we have the last few people logging on to the webinar. I know many people are coming straight from lunch into logging on to this and might need a couple of minutes. So before we get to the meat of the presentation, just to briefly show you what we offer behind the term growth agency or B2B agency, which can be a bit vague. We get that. If we go clockwise from the top here, we do a lot of outbound prospecting and telemarketing. That's the background we come from. Nowadays, we often do it in integrated campaigns where we also do inbound marketing or social media campaigns for our clients. Then we have some of our customers who need help with more technical stuff like CRM or marketing automation integrations or setups where we can help out with that. And we're also doing a lot of sales enablement nowadays, educations, workshops, and help with change management for clients who need to improve their own way of doing things. And then finally here, to mention account-based marketing, looking at narrow target groups of prospects where you really want to get deep into the organizations and understand them and get an interest. So Jacob's going to cover that more later on. But just to give you a bit of a background.
Yeah, and diving into today's topic, we call this webinar, as you know, lead generation for tech industry companies in 2020. So what's the hook? What are we thinking that might be interesting for? Well, we have discussed this over the years with clients and worked with them to develop a lot of successful marketing campaigns in order to drive more sales, since we're often related with our campaigns in sales, close to sales. And what we've seen over the last few years is that we also have the same need for modern marketing and lead generation also in more industry tech, which might be more of the engineering end of the tech spectra and maybe not so much on the IT and software end of the tech spectra. Since we've seen a lot of stuff moving in the same direction there that the IT industry went over maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago, when they went from large upfront deals, buying a lot of infrastructure, big investment, to, as of now, almost everything you buy in IT and software infrastructure is on an as a service model. And a lot of industry tech companies do the same, where clients in buying engineering, machines, and stuff like that want to buy functionality rather than the product. They want to buy a service contract rather than hours or getting a service engineer flying out to them on a per cost basis, and so on. So we see a lot of things moving in that direction in many tech industries over the spectra. And we think that might implicate a bit of how you will run your sales and marketing, since we've seen many companies in the IT industry have done that transition really successfully, but also a few of them have lost ground in that transition. So there's a few concepts we will talk about today. Richard, over to you.
Yes, so if we look at the solution here, we're going to split it kind of into three parts. We're going to talk about inbound marketing, we're going to talk about the sales development representative, and last of all, account-based marketing as a way of focusing this initiative of inbound marketing towards the right target group, those clients that are most likely to buy. And if we, as we said, and if we start with inbound marketing as a concept, I'm sure it's something that many of you have heard about or even started to work with a bit, which is great if you have. Our partner HubSpot, who have a great platform tool for this, they define it, as you can see here on the screen, as a business methodology that attracts customers by creating valuable content and experiences tailored to them. That's kind of what it's all about. And the background to inbound marketing is the buyer's journey that you can see here. The idea that any consumer of any service or product will go through three distinct steps of a buyer's journey. You can, if you look to the left here, we begin with the awareness stage, where the prospects will notice that they have some form of challenge, some form of opportunity, or in general, some form of change happening right now or in the near future that they feel that they need to better understand. Then in the next step, the consideration step, they understand this change better. And what they're doing now is that they are looking at different options on how to handle, how to mitigate this. And in the last step, the decision-making step, the consumer has kind of narrowed down on one particular way of solving this problem or making use of this opportunity. And now they're looking at different vendors, different people, different services or products that can help them accomplish this. That's the idea behind all this. And the thought here is that if you provide these potential buyers, your prospects, with the information that is useful to them in the step that they are in at any given point in time in their buyer's journey, then they're gonna build a trust towards you. So someone who's in a very early stage, they might want content that provides them with knowledge and insights around the problem or opportunity they've started to put attention on. This could, for example, be trends relating to their role or their company, or how to make a change that many companies within this particular industry is facing. So these prospects, you should remember that they are simply not in a stage where they are in any way interested in what would be more late stage content, decision stage content, like customer cases or comparisons to your competitor solutions or campaign prices and so on. So you match your content with each step in that buyer's journey. And the benefits of going through this process from very early on of matching your method of approach and form of content with where the prospects are in their buyer's journey is basically twofold. So for one thing, you will continuously be top of mind to the consumer. You're always going to be relevant to them. If you're there with relevant content, you're going to be relevant as a company. And second here, you are there from a very early step in their buyer's journey. So you can help them shape their view of what they should do, what they should buy, and who to buy it from, even long before they are at a stage where they consider these options, which is very beneficial for you. And oftentimes when you work with the inbound marketing as a concept, when you applicate it, when you make actual use of it, you should have three things in mind, and you should work with it on a campaign basis. So for that campaign, you should, for one thing, use a specific buyer persona that you decide to target in your campaign. Second point, you should look at a specific step in the buyer's journey. So you should not do a campaign that tries to push people through the full buyer's journey. Doesn't work with very long sales cycles and large scale solutions like I assume most of you work with. And third point here, you should focus on a specific form of content, both in terms of what topic to discuss or teach or create awareness around, and also what medium you should use. Should you use video, blog posts, self-assessment forums, ebooks, webinars, or something else? So with those three things in mind, you kind of shape your campaign. And to be more hands-on in this webinar, I wanted to show you both on a chart, on a lead flow, like here, and then later on with some actual examples, what this could look like in practice. So if we start at the top and if we look at the different steps involved, we start with your target group that you want to approach. Could be large, could be small. In any case, you will market towards this target group using online ads that promote the content piece that you have created. You want people to click through from this ad and then drive them to a landing page, which is a very simple website on your domain, a page that is fully focused on getting these visitors to fill in their contact information and opt in order to receive the content that you have created. So what happens then, other than your prospects consuming the content that you have created and hopefully enjoys and learns from it, is that you get an opt-in on them, a relevant contact at a relevant company that have agreed to receiving more information from your company in the future. That's an opt-in. So with that, you can start to nurture them over time with additional content that kind of follows along with them through their buyer's journey. The other thing that we like to do when we run campaigns for our clients is that we set up an email sequence, an automatic email sequence, so that everyone who fills out a form to download your content, they also get 2 or 3 emails within a set period of days after they download the ebook or whatever it is, that provides additional insights of the same topic as the content was around the same topics. So if you have content focusing on a very early stage in the buyer's journey, you can use these emails in sequence to start promoting more middle stage content, like a customer case or a webinar or something like that. And here's another way of looking at it, using some actual examples from our own campaigns. This is one where we created an ebook about lead generation for tech companies. So this is content for our buyer persona, as we say, the marketing manager at the tech company. And this particular content piece can be viewed as kind of middle stage, consideration stage content for potential buyers who have decided that they want to shift more focus into digital marketing and want to learn more about how to utilize lead generation as a part of that. So we promote this. The left image here is an ad that we put on LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn because if your goal is to generate actual opt-in, actual leads, rather than branding or awareness, then LinkedIn is, in our experience, trying different channels over the years, it's the best tool or best channel to use for that purpose. So from this ad, we want the prospects to click and go through to a landing page. Getting a 1 or 2% conversion rate here is great, even though it might not sound like very much, but it's a good number. On the landing page, we want as many as possible of the visitors to fill in their information and download this ebook in order to receive the material. And hopefully as many as possible should do this, since it should be clear on the ad that is what they are gonna receive if they go to the landing page. So if you see that your number, if your conversion rate on the visitors to the landing page to filling in the form, if that is, let's say, less than 10%, you might need to tweak something. Perhaps you're asking for too much information to be filled out, or perhaps your landing page is too full with information before you get to actually filling in the form. So you should, try and make some learnings from that insight and that data. Then when they've downloaded the ebook and receive it as a PDF, they also go through to a thank you page where they can learn a bit more. They might receive more information about various topics we have, similar topics to the one they downloaded the ebook about. And you can also see the email sequence here that they will receive, where in this case we have 2 emails in sequence. First one telling them a bit more about this topic, and the second one asking them if they would like to have a meeting to look more closely at this topic together with us. Then some quick advice on inbound marketing campaigns, 3 things that you should keep in mind when you set up a flow like this. The first one is about the campaign as a whole, or the goal of the campaign. I spoke with a client a couple of days ago who were really happy with the quality of leads and the content that we created when we did the campaign for them about a year ago. But they also told us that their management was a bit disappointed that none of those leads had turned into actual pipeline value just after the campaign had ended. And of course, there's ways to fast track leads, and in many campaigns you're going to stumble across some leads who are late stage, decision stage, even though you didn't expect it. But since the purpose here in an awareness stage inbound marketing campaign is to attract leads and build a relationship and trust over time, you're going to have a problem if you expect them to quickly turn into actual opportunities, actual proposals, actual close new deals in a very near time frame. So you need to have patience in setting up a campaign like this and work with it over time. Second thing to keep in mind is that you should use paid ads like we always do in our client campaigns. Organic traffic is great, but it takes time to build. It happens over time when people start searching on things and your SEO numbers start going up. But when you kickstart a campaign, you really need to use paid ads on LinkedIn or other channels to see some traction on and some results from what you work with. The third thing to keep in mind here is that you need to make content that is of real value to your prospects. Many prospects, many decision makers nowadays, they know that them opting into your company and them filling in their contact details, they know that that is valuable information to potential suppliers. So they are going to feel cheated if they fill out their information and opt in and receive material that they didn't really feel was valuable enough to them. So make sure that is good and consider making more interactive content rather than static content. Something I think we're going to see much more about in the next few years. Right. We also have another thing to consider, another challenge, and that is what happens next. When you set up a campaign like this for a particular step in the buyer's journey and that campaign is over, what happens then? And here we kind of see a problem with a lot of the education there is online about inbound marketing, because too often it will present the idea that the leads themselves will get in touch with your company to learn more or start talking about potential support in these areas. In our experience, this will not really happen. You will have good leads coming in, but they are not going to, take the step themselves to get in touch and start having a conversation. So for this, we recommend that you make use of a sales development representative who is tasked with following up on those market qualified leads that you generate to kind of push them along in the buyer's journey through the sales process. So just to update our lead flow chart with this role at the bottom, they're going to follow up on the MQLs, the market qualified leads that you generate from various sources. And this is preferably done over the phone. They should be the sender of the email sequences that go out that I talked about earlier. But ideally, they should also make a phone call towards these prospects, to these leads as well. And in the call, they should focus on providing insights and try to have an actual conversation about the topic of the content that they had downloaded. Again, there's going to be a mismatch if someone downloads insightful early stage awareness stage content and then receives a phone call from a very pushy salesperson who's going to do everything they can to get a meeting with them. So don't put a hard measure on the SDRs in terms of conversion rate, because it's going to be counterproductive to the whole mindset of an inbound marketing campaign. So this is kind of a breakdown of what an SDR, a sales development representative, should focus on. In part, they focus on following up on inbound leads, which requires deep knowledge on the topics outlined in your content portfolio. So if you do lots of different content, you should consider having SDRs who focus on different areas, or you're going to have to need to make sure they have lots of time to consume the content themselves. And they should, of course, also have the ability to be able to tie the content to prospect pain points and your potential solutions so that they can try and bridge that gap between providing content and providing actual solutions. And then this role is split in focus. So the SDR is also going to focus on doing prospecting and mapping of high priority accounts. So in that, Jacob is going to touch on that later on here, but in that they're going to need to have a good understanding of enterprise level decision making and structure to be able to navigate these large enterprises. And also in relation to that, the flexibility in approach, depending on who they talk about within the organization, what department, or whether it's a technical role or a business-oriented role. And again, some advice on this role. As I mentioned before, try to go easy on hard metrics. This is not a role where you should try and make them convert as many inbound leads as possible to a booked meeting, because that goes kind of against the idea of inbound marketing. And this is a role that in itself requires lots of competencies and lots of skills. So you should not just hire junior sales reps for this role and then try and pick the best ones to become account managers or some other role within your company. This is a skilled role in itself where people could work for years and become better and better at this particular position. So try and build it as a role in itself, not just something that people go into for a few months before they move on to something else in your organization. Right, and Jacob, if you're still with us, account-based marketing, where does that tie into all of this?
Exactly. Account-based marketing is a concept that's been around for a few years, but it's really one of the ways that sales teams in complex B2B have been working for many, many years. What is new about it is that we today do account-based marketing in tight alignment between marketing and sales in combination, and thereby gets more effect of it. So if we compare inbound marketing with account-based marketing, you could describe it like the picture here, where inbound marketing is a bit more like fishing with nets, where you spread your content quite widely and you try to lure people in with your great content, your insights, you have awareness content, you get them into your funnel, and over time, hopefully, you can win their trust and convert them to a lead or a opportunity or even a closed deal. Account-based marketing is turning that model a bit upside down, but we're using about the same tactics as we use for the inbound marketing, which is digital marketing, content, and SDRs for both outreach as well as follow-up. But the thing is that we start instead with the account selection, and we choose a few accounts that we either have as existing accounts we want to expand, or that we have as new accounts that we feel are fulfilling our ideal client profile. In other words, a company that is very similar to the companies that are clients to us, that we know we're best at serving. Our strength, so to say, will come into play there. And we will work those few accounts with dedicated campaigns in order to drive engagement and so on. And as you know, many marketing research companies like Serious Decisions and Forrester, etc., says that today in a complex sales decision, typically in a larger company, 22 persons are influencing that decision, which means that instead of spreading us thin between a lot of targeted accounts, we also need to go deep in the accounts that really matters in order to convince them to become a client of ours and choose us before our competitors. So if we go to the next slide there, what we would like to say is that account-based marketing is using both inbound and outbound marketing tactics targeted on a few well-selected accounts. And if we do that, we'll get really good leverage, and hopefully we can do that in combination together in a joint effort that will drive your marketing and sales funnel much more efficient. What also is important when you do outbound, account-based marketing, is that you also leverage your SDR role in order to use them, not only for follow-up the inbound leads and the leads that's coming in from the campaign, but also for outbound metrics and trying to call into those selected accounts, strike up conversations, getting their interest for our content, maybe pitching a webinar or an event, or even booking meetings for your account managers. And that is a very potent combination of tactical marketing and inside sales resources. So a few tips and tricks here when setting up a marketing, an account-based marketing campaign. And that could be that it's important to use the content you already have, but personalize it to the companies you select for this, because you can typically do account-based marketing to quite a few companies, but it is a spectrum there where you will lose the edge of getting the prospect to feel that this is a campaign targeted just for them or their industry. You want to go really, really small and niche it down to those few accounts that you really, really want to get their attention. So what you do in that case is, of course, to take your a bit more broad or general content and try to add personalize it and customize it to those industries or those few accounts, or even a single account that you go one-to-one on. And by creating unique landing pages, you can put that content on a landing page that says, hey, everybody working on this company, here is a great report with insights for your company and your industry for the coming year. And that is more interesting when we look at click-through rates and so on, than if you have more like a general white paper that says insights for 2020. So if you niche it down on an industry or role or even a single company, you will get a much higher awareness rate and click-through rate than you normally would. And also, if you can use their company, if you have not their logo, but say, hey, everybody working on this company, you will also get their attention, of course. And when you put together a marketing mix consisting of teleprospecting and SDRs, calling into the account, trying to find out who's influencing our area of decisions and buyer processes, how can we map their strengths and things they're interested in, which problems they have, and doing the account research, which is really key for an account-based marketing campaign. Take that insights, map that to your existing content, and decide, can we customize this content to become interesting or more targeted, or should we actually write new or produce new content that is really speaking into those problems, those situations these few accounts we're going after have. And also, if it is an existing account, please inform your already existing relationships in these accounts that you will try to do an account-based expansion campaign so you don't step on any hot toes or so. And if we look at the chart, how a campaign can look like when we tie this all together, it will look something like this. That we have a broad target group. That's your total available market, your TAM, if you want to. And that's the potential, all kind of potential companies that might be interested in your offering, your products, your services, and so on. But then you also have your key target group of accounts, those ideal client profiles where you really are the best solution or the most competitive offering, and where you have the highest potential to win a bid. Those companies you will really put your effort in with account-based marketing campaigns. So you have a broad inbound marketing campaign where you produce content that is more general. You will use that content and the insights from the accounts to personalize that, to customize that, to make them more interested in specific account-based campaigns. You recruit or hire from external providers like Bright Vision or others, an SDR team to both follow up on the digital teams, leads coming in with your SDR team. So you can strike up good conversations, because digital leads seldom convert themselves into booked meetings with clients. You need to have a personal touch there sooner or later, over email, phone, social media, in mails. There's a lot of chance you can use there, but the SDR team is crucial to get that to happen. When they have qualified the leads, that's when they hand over it to the account managers, and they will say, well, I accept this one. So a sales qualified lead when it's handed over, a sales accepted lead when it's accepted and received, and hopefully that will turn into a new opportunity over time. And as we said, the SDRs will also call out into those targeted accounts and trying to strike a good conversation, book meetings, send more info, try to influence their decisions, and positioning your company as the most reliable, most cost efficient, etc. solution for their needs in this area you serve. So that was a bit about account-based marketing. Richard, if we summarize this up, where are we at?
Yes, so basically we can go back and look at these three things we've covered. For one thing, you should consider using inbound marketing to build leads over time. Perhaps you've already started to do this. Many companies have, but there are some things that I feel that could be improved on when companies in general work with this. So please try and keep those pointers we had in mind, or look back at the recorded version when you receive it. In addition to that, what I feel many companies lack when they started working with inbound marketing is, again, the SDR who can follow up on all those leads and give them not a strong push, as we said, but a gentle push through their buyer's journey and your sales funnel to make sure that you continuously move them forward, as well as doing prospecting on high priority accounts, because that's really where you can find your next customers, by looking at a number of prospects rather than looking at a number of companies, because there's going to be a difference in how you approach these companies when you have that kind of setup as compared to an old school large target group that you just try and run through to get your business across. So inbound marketing, the SDR function, and account-based marketing, that's the three things that we wanted to keep in mind from this webinar and kind of consider for your marketing mix going forward in 2020 and for upcoming years. So with that summary, if you have any questions, now is the time to write them in, or if you would reach out to us afterwards, you're going to get our contact details when you receive the recording tomorrow. I'm going to see here what we have that has come in. One question here, sorry, maybe you already said this in the beginning, but since I missed it, will you send the presentation after the webinar? And yes, as I just said, everyone's going to receive a recorded version. I think we're going to put it on YouTube so that you can look at it afterwards and share it with other people in your organization.
Yeah, I also have another question here. If you're new to ABM, where should you start? And what's your best advice on good collaboration between sales and marketing when it comes to ABM? And also, if we could name drop some good tools when it comes to inbound marketing. Yeah, let's start with ABM. I think account insight and also it is the way to start. Account selection and account insight. And account selection is key to have a dialogue with your sales team, of course. And when you sell account-based marketing, it's important to get them on board and understand that we will help you strike up new and interesting dialogues within your accounts. You will benefit from this. and we will work our guts out to just help you succeed with your accounts. And we will do that with a number of only different tactics. So if you get them on board and get them to understand that this is not like threatening their accounts or you're stepping in and taking over the show or anything, but it is a service you give them as an account manager to important accounts, to leverage them and their efforts and make their days better and more efficient. I think you will get a good chance to have alignment. And then, of course, let them decide the accounts together with you. You can, as a marketeer, set up which criteria you think are the most important ones, maybe from potential and potential how we can address the organizations and possibility to serve it and match to what our strengths are and so on, and then match that with the sales team's different recommended or looked for accounts to work on. Also, you need to make sure that the salespersons don't switch accounts all the time, because if you have too short span when doing account-based marketing to certain accounts, you can't track if it's been a successful account or not, account campaign or not. So at least 6 months span when you can evaluate to see, did we actually make any difference in this account together with the sales team? Or even better, a 12-month window. So for example, some companies have a 6-month or 12 months window where the sales team can bring up which accounts to target for those more expensive, going after a few important accounts initiatives, where they can switch a few of them. But after 2 months, they can't come in and say, hey, I got another lead here that's really interesting. Could we do that one instead? So you need to be careful about that. And also, I think it's important to have some kind of process around this, so you know if you're going in the right direction and keep following up on it. So start with insights and alignment, and get the sales team to understand that this is helping them, not burdening them. And also, it's important to understand what competitors and what messages and what problems and so on these accounts you're going after have, so you can actually target your messaging there. Otherwise, it might end up as a Me Too, ordinary plain vanilla campaign, which have not the capability to get their attention and stand out from the crowd of different marketing campaigns targeting that company. If we talk about tools for inbound marketing, we can definitely recommend HubSpot, which is a great inbound marketing platform. If you're looking for other corporate versions, expensive, if you want to say, that which have a lot of features and competence, Marketo, Pardot, Eloqua are a few of those that typically are up there in the chart. If you're looking for more of a starter system, I would recommend SharpSpring, which is really easy to get started with, but still have the full functionality. Cheaper, you buy it per month instead of a yearly license, so that's a good piloting system, for example. And those are things we can, of course, help you set up if you want help with that. If you're looking for a system and are open for many suggestions or different systems, I recommend you to check out, for example, G2 Crowd, that has a great grid of the top 30, 40 systems in the marketing automation space, with rankings in different categories and so on. So you can really see which are the front runners that you might be interested in to take a demo with. Okay.
Great.
Long answer to a short question.
We have another one here. We'll take them in chronological order, and if someone needs to leave now, when we've when it's been 45 minutes, the recording that you're going to get is going to include the Q&A, so we're going to get to your questions somewhere on the video if you need to rush from this to another meeting. But the next question that came in here: how can we work with these steps if we mainly work with distributors? I don't know if the question ended there or if it continues. No, that was the question. So I suppose it depends a bit on whether you work with a distributor who is there more or less purely to just help promote and make a sale on your solutions, or if it's more of a value-added distributor who might have their own brand they want to get in there and their own solutions to get into the mix. But we in general, we work a lot in campaigns that go through the partner ecosystem, where a distributor is involved together with a vendor, and perhaps also a partner or reseller or consultancy firm in the end. So it depends a bit, but what you can do, of course, is help out with the funding for the campaigns and creating the content needed. Many distributors, I think, can themselves help out with setting up the ad, setting up landing pages and so on, and perhaps have a system in place. But creating really good premium content that is then used for the campaign, that's kind of what takes time and can be quite time consuming and cost expensive if you need an agency to do it. So making sure that they have premium content that is in use for the marketing of your solutions, I think that is one of the most important things that you can help out with. And I'd be happy to provide a more more detailed answer to you by email later on, based on kind of the relationship you have with your distributors, because again, it's something we do a lot and we have some good examples on how that can be executed. Then after that, we have a question on TikTok as a channel for your marketing strategy. I don't know if you've been using TikTok anything, Jacob, or is that just your kids?
No, we haven't used TikTok for our B2B marketing campaigns, but we have got the question around more in general, which channels should you use in order to reach out to your target audience? And I mean, TikTok is one of many channels you can use. We have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, of course, and so on. And I think it's important to think about your buyer persona and understand, where are they? I mean, if they're hanging out on TikTok, based on your insights of your buyer personas, you would like to strike up a conversation with, and create your brand awareness and building trust in your area of expertise. That should be the guiding insight and guiding questions you should ask yourself. Not, is this a new and cool tool or a new trend that we should jump on? We have done experiments with different new social media places that is more B2C oriented than B2B, but yeah, and they can definitely drive leads, definitely. And we are also humble around that. It might differ from country to country. In some countries, Facebook is definitely one business to business focused just as much as B2C, but in other countries, Facebook is definitely more private, and it doesn't feel like you're using it for trying to promote your services and products. So it might be local differences as well. You need to find, where do your buyer personas, based on your target accounts and demographics and so on, hang out? Where do they spend time, and where can you advertise according to that?
Great. And I suppose you touched on it a bit, Jacob, but there's this saying about starting with I don't know the exact saying, but starting with smaller bullets before you start using your cannon. So many of these different channels, it's quite quick and easy. If you have some content that you try it out on a particular channel, a particular social platform, for example, put some low ad spend on it, just a few $100s perhaps, and see if you get some traction on that. If it works, you can continue, you can increase the ad spend and start doing more campaigns that are specifically for that channel. But it's so easy with these digital channels to try it out and see if you get any good results, and then use those foundings to decide what you should do next. So try it out and see if you get some good leads. That's a good way of moving forward with it.
Yeah.
Next question here. How do you target various stages of the sales or the buyer's journey towards the same personas, among which many are at various buying stages? And I suppose that's the big challenge of this, to know which of your different prospects who are in the different steps of the buyer's journey. That's the hard part. So what you should always try and do when you start out with inbound marketing is to start, and let me know if you agree, Jacob, is that you should start with creating content that is tailored towards a very early buyer's journey stage, and then you promote that towards your target group and see if they're interested in it. Because I see many people, if you look at LinkedIn in general, you're going to see so many people just throwing what could be considered late stage, decision stage content there. Look how good we as a brand are at whatever we're doing, or look at this award we won, or look at this reference case we have. And when you throw them out there, there's only going to be a fraction of the viewers who are actually in that particular stage of their buyer's journey. And those who are in that stage, looking at different vendors, they are not going to be suddenly interested in you as a potential supplier just because you had a LinkedIn post there. But this really starts from the beginning. You create awareness stage content. You're going to get some interactions on that. You're going to get some downloads, some MQLs. You know that those people are at least in an awareness stage, a very early buyer's journey stage. And from that opt-in that you get on them, you can start to create and send out to them. Remember, you have an opt-in on them, so you can email them. You're going to send out more middle stage content to them. And if they interact with that, they are perhaps more towards the middle stage of the buyer's journey. They are ready to, perhaps have an SDR call them up, hear what they think, if they have any initiatives going on and so on. You can tag them in your marketing automation system or in your CRM as middle stage, so that you kind of keep track on who's where in the buyer's journey. But it's not an exact science. So you need to start in the beginning and see who you can move along by using different forms of content for different parts of the buyer's journey, and try to push them along. Right. Any more thoughts on that, Jacob? Or should we jump to the next question here?
I think that's a good comment. So let's go to the next question there. Do you need additional inbound marketing after the SVR Touch Base with the prospect? That's a good question. As we saw, when we got a qualified inbound lead, it needs to be followed up by an SDR, or just as well, the SDR can have striking up a good conversation that might have transferred into a booked meeting to an account manager. But what if it turns out to become a booked meeting, or if the MQL, the digital MQL that the SDR follow-ups on, don't agree to meet the account manager, or don't want to continue the buyer's journey, so to say? Well, in that case, you need to have nurturing content, and you need to put them into a nurturing track. Hopefully we have get them opted in, since if they have signed up for a download or for something that they have got from your web page there, the digital is most likely opted in, and you will have lead scoring on them. And when the SDR follow up and say, yeah, I'm just looking, it's a tire kicker who wants to know a bit more, but not in the sales process or having any pain points that's too serious to consider a buying phase right now, you need to continue nurturing them. So that's what you need to have in complement to these outbound and inbound campaigns, are an always on nurturing content campaign that over time hopefully drives them into picking you as the vendor for your kind of specialty and expertise. So yeah, you need to develop content and try to get them on different content tracks. Companies that are really good at this, they have different tracks for different buyer personas. So if it's a sales manager or an engineering manager coming in, they will put it on that specific track, which might have 12 pre-formatted emails that go out every third week with interesting content, cases, blog posts, linked to recorded webinars, etc. That is typically something an engineering manager would like to see more about. And over time, that drives them to. And if you combine that with lead scoring in your HubSpot or marketing automation system, you can see if they continue to interact. Maybe it's time to give them a call a quarter later, 3 to 6 months later. They might be interested with you having nurtured them over time with your content.
Yeah, and an additional point on that, I see many of our clients, large, very large IT and tech companies in B2B, they love this technical stuff, the potential behind it. So many of our clients, they have set up nurturing tracks, like Jacob mentioned. They have lead scoring systems implemented that they put a lot of effort on. But what's lacking is the content itself, because they always seem to be so keen in trying to push their brand in there and start talking about their solutions and how good they are at what they do. So again, for nurturing content and awareness and consideration stage content, you should really put an emphasis on providing insights, providing knowledge. Don't be so tempted to put your brand in there or start talking about your solution in the middle of that blog post or that white paper or video. Just make sure that whatever is early stage content should be focused on providing knowledge, providing insights, nothing else. That's the whole idea behind inbound marketing, no matter how much different tracks and scoring systems and other stuff you get into the mix. So I think that's important to mention as a learning experience based on what we see with our clients. Next question here, do you need additional inbound marketing? No, that was the question we just covered, right? So yeah. Here it is. For account-based marketing, what are the various steps needed between the initial marketing approach and the SDR contact? So you don't really need any particular steps in between. You could have some. What we do when we do account-based marketing for our clients, when we do an integrated campaign, both using both inbound marketing and the SDR function, is that we usually turn on the advertisements for the content piece on LinkedIn and other channels a couple of weeks before we start working with our SDRs on the account, because that gives us a couple of weeks where prospects on that company that we target is going to see those ads. You're going to start building some brand awareness. You're going to start to get some good inbound leads, and you give them some time to consume the material, the ebook, for example, before someone calls them. But after that first or second week of advertisements, then you should really make sure that you get your SDRs on that account, because a big part of the SDR's role is to do cold prospecting on the accounts. So you don't need to wait around. They should, if they are skilled enough in the role, they should be able to have cold conversations with these companies, starting with influencers and low-level decision makers, to start understanding the account, what initiatives they have, what pain points they have relating to whatever you want to promote with your campaign. And from that, in those dialogues, they can get people to receive the ebook. They can send it straight to them or send them a link to a landing page, parallel to building up insight that they can use when they then call, higher level decision makers to book appointments, where they in those calls really can show that they've done their research. They understand the challenges, they understand the plans that the company has based on the dialogues they've had with other people in the organization. So you should not hesitate in start doing those cold prospecting calls on ABM accounts using your SDRs. You can do that from the get-go basically, but we usually wait 1 or 2 weeks after starting the advertisements.
Great. Moving on in questions here. Here's a question around how can we target better through Facebook? You can't be as detailed as in LinkedIn. How do you increase the performance with good targeted audience in Facebook? Yes, that's correct. LinkedIn is by far the absolute most easy to target social media advertising platform. It's fantastic, and you should definitely use it in order to go after your account-based marketing initiatives and the accounts you're looking for. So with that said, we love LinkedIn and use it a lot, but Facebook is great for complementary purpose. Especially, I would recommend to set up retargeting for your landing pages to Facebook. Retargeting is advertising, digital advertising, only targeting those persons that have visited your web. And that is really cost efficient and also quite cheap. Facebook is by far cheaper than LinkedIn. If you buy per click or awareness, doesn't matter. It's much more cost efficient. But if you couple that to, for example, retargeting, that could be a good efficient way to do it. Another way is to find, since you can't target on a company, but people can voluntarily say that they work for companies, you can look into those things and see if you can find good matches there. Another thing that we have done quite successfully is to find interesting groups just like LinkedIn, but on Facebook, people who want to discuss different things that might be related to your services. Maybe not so much high tech or things like that, but for example, if you sell stuff to education, school systems, university, and so on. There's a lot of groups on on Facebook that you can place advertisements right into. For example, if you do tech for edutech or green tech, for example, lots of interest in clean and green tech in Facebook and so on. So it might be good discussion forums that you can find to advertise into as well, based on interest rather than company on the different outlets. Other than, yeah. Okay.
Great. And last question so far. We just got one more, but we had a question here. Our experience with Sales Navigator for LinkedIn, if it works or not. And I use it. I don't work specifically as an SDR, but many of the things I do in my role is kind of what an SDR could do. So I work with it a lot. I like it not that much for what LinkedIn is promoting about it, which is that you have much more emails you can send to people you're not connected with, or that it's good as a news aggregator and you can get triggers when something happens with an account. But I feel there are better places to go to learn about news on accounts that you target, and I don't think emails are that good of a channel to use in my experience. I like LinkedIn Sales Navigator much more because the search function is amazing in how you can filter it, so I can get a quick look at, okay, how marketing heavy is a particular very large organization within the Nordics. Do they have people with marketing in their title in Sweden or Finland, Denmark? That's one of the ways I might be interested in looking at. You might have other things you want to look at. And that filtering function is really great for that. Also, the ability to build lists where you can get email updates on a week-to-week basis on changes to those lists. So I like to look at connections I have who have just started at a new company. Really good trigger for me to use. Also like to see, also have lists where I can see if someone joins a company that we have as a client, if they join in a particular role, because then I know that I should really quickly reach out to that person and let them know how we help their company that they just started working at with whatever it might be, sales or marketing related stuff. Because then I can be there very early on and shape their view of us as a supplier just as they start at the company. So you should really try it out. They always have a 30-day tryout period before you need to pay those €50 or whatever it is a month. So try it out when you feel you have the time to really discover if it's something for you or not. I think the user interface is not the best, so it takes a bit of time to learn, but it's really something to try out. So yeah, try it. Next question here: how do we filter these groups? Don't you need to be in that group? How do we target followers on pages that are not following groups? I think that goes back to your answer on Facebook, Jacob.
Yeah, that's probably a Facebook question. No, you don't need to belong to groups in order to advertising into groups. So yeah, that's a quite detailed question. It's not that hard to set it up into the Facebook advertising manager, and there's a lot of agencies like us who can help you set it up. It's not that complicated. What makes inbound marketing complicated is that you're running so many different small things and try so many different things, and in order to orchestrate all those kind of things to tie in together, doing it in the right sequence with the same message, targeting back to the same content, and making it tracked and analyzed so you actually can know if it's working or not, that's what's complicated. Each step in itself is quite easy. Setting up an ad on LinkedIn or Facebook, that's quite easy. Setting up an Google Ads, that's quite easy. To do it well in an orchestrated manner, that's what I think is the most challenging part with inbound marketing and as well as account-based marketing. So you need to be a good orchestrator, and if you feel it's a bit too big, maybe you can bring in somebody to help you, at least for your first campaigns, when you get the systems and processes up and you get the checklist templates running. So yeah, that's my general advice to those kind of things.
Great, and I think that was the final question we had coming in, and we've spent the full hour now, so I suppose there are many new and exciting meetings about to start. So we leave it at that for today. Thank you everyone for attending and for all the questions you've wrote in. You can look forward to our recorded version tomorrow, and perhaps an email sequence if you're lucky. So thanks for attending everyone. Thank you, Jacob, for helping me go through all this material, and we'll be in touch. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody. Good to have you here. Bye.